Hi, I'm Brenda Yoho. Welcome to Solution Saturday. There seems to be a lot of things going on in the world, and we continue to have so many negatives that I kind of wanted to go back and talk a little bit about the power of our words. And, really, this is still October, and so we're still talking about bullying. We're still talking about things that give us anxiety, and I think it's still important for us to talk about all of the things that add up to really causing us a lot of stress. And often, I think there's a lot that we do to ourselves. I know that I do enough of that to myself. I always question myself and give myself a lot of negative talk. And I have good friends who will help me with trying to get me to realize that I need to stop all of that. Often in my career, I would talk to a lot of my kids, and I would use a saying, and I think I will mispronounce this Chinese philosopher, but his name is Lao Tzu, and he would say, and I would repeat it: watch your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words. Watch your words; they become your actions. Watch your actions; they become habits. Watch your habits; they become your character. Watch your character; it becomes your destiny. I told that to kids, I think, a lot of times. I know I said that to my fifth graders. I know I said that to my middle school students. I know I've even said it to adults. And I think it's true if you really think about it. Really think about the things that we're saying and repeatedly saying. So I think that if we get to our spirituality, I think you look in the Bible and you look at Proverbs 18. It talks about that the tongue has the power of life and death. And I think that if we go back in history, we can look at lots of different things that reflect back to the power of the words and the words that we choose to use. And I think it's really true when we talk about bullying and when we talk about just conversation in general. I don't think we spend enough time with talking with our kids about the word choices and the actions. And I feel very strongly about that. And that's why the two roles are so important to me, because I think if we take the time to stop and to really think about what we're saying and doing and how it's making others feel about being good and safe, I think we would stop some of the things that we do. I think we could start that habit early on in our lives that would become a habit. I think it would develop into our character. And I think that that's part of why I feel so strongly about it. It goes back to all of those beliefs, those core values that I have, and what I feel like that has been instilled in me, and how I feel like that we need to go back to those kinds of things. I think that um, if you hear children say, "I'm not good at this," or "I'm bad at this," I think it's time for us to kind of step in and think, where are they hearing those words from? Is that something that they're just naturally saying? Are we modeling that for them? And how we can kind of flip that for them, how we can change that mindset that they have. Because that's really where the negative talk starts. And if we can stop it from even starting, then when they become adults, they won't develop that habit of being so judgmental and so critical of themselves. And I think that that's really what holds us back as adults in really pursuing anything. We think that we're not good enough to do that. We think that we can't have these conversations. We think we're afraid to speak up and say things. I'm not good enough to do this. Maybe I'm not good enough to do what I'm doing right now, but I'm going to give it a try because it's what I believe in. And I do believe that it's part of a solution for what we can do for each other in making the world a better place. And what better place to start is with how we educate our children at home, in school, in our communities. It's how all of us model for our children. They look to us as the navigators for how they navigate life. You hear a lot of yelling and screaming and arguing. You don't really anybody having a calm conversation and debate about things. I can disagree with you on things. but I'm not going to yell and scream at you. I'm going to tell you the reason why I disagree. And you can tell me why you disagree with me. Me yelling louder doesn't make me more right than you. We have to have an open mind to listen to the other individual and to have a conversation about why we don't believe that's right. And it's okay to have differences. That's why we're all different. That's why we all come from different backgrounds and different cultures and different religions. That's what's so great about the world, is that we do have all these different things. But it's what the differences that we have that help us make us unique. Now, there is a difference between good and evil, and we need to draw that line and understand that. We need to help our children understand that. It's important for our kids to understand the power in those words and how to develop a better way of having conversations. That saying something mean and evil to others is not kind and it's not good. And that there's always consequences to the actions and to our voice. See, when we say these things to other people, it causes them stress and anxiety. So when we're modeling for our kids, we need to keep that in mind, that we need to model positive conversation and solutions. So when kids say, I'm bad at this, change that by saying, hey, let's say something different. Let's say, hey, I'm struggling with this, but I'm going to do this to see if I can get better. So let's say, I can't color in the lines right. Then say, hey, let me show you a better way, or let me show you how you can practice to get a little bit better, because I think that you can do this. Let's change some mindsets. Let's give them some positive feedback. Let's let them know that we do believe they can. And instead of them constantly saying negative things, maybe somebody at school is telling them that they're not good at something like kickball, of all things, but it's true, or dodgeball. Dodgeball happens to be one of my pet peeves, so I won't do that soapbox today. It takes someone like you that they trust to help them get it turned around. Because we can say some really mean things and hurtful things, and it plays over and over in our minds. And we can judge and criticize ourselves and think, well, I should have done that a little differently. And if you make a mistake, learn how to apologize and laugh at yourself. Let's not take ourselves so seriously. It's something that we just can't do. I know that there was one time in my career, I was in charge of the ownership and education book, which is what was for the whole district. And so we had to submit something to the Board of Education. So I submitted a draft, and all I did was just send the original manuscript stuff and just change some different things. The writing was not mine. And there were some letters that went out criticizing that I couldn't write well, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. And it went to all the board members and everything. And I remember my superintendent talked to me and said, I don't want you to take this personally. And I'm like, I'm not, because it's not my work. I didn't do that. But, I know it went to all the board members, and somebody's just trying to make sure I look poorly in the eyes of the board members, but I'm just doing my job. And, it's funny that you are going to have people when you're a child and when you're adults that are going to criticize you. And so you can't stop doing your job because you get criticized. You just keep on moving forward and keep doing what you can to make a difference in the world. And when people are criticizing you, at least you're doing something. So you can apologize and say, I'm sorry you feel that way. This is what our committee did. Well, all we did was insert some words to a document that was already formed. So I'll leave you with that. So, what I want to say to you is please help change the mindsets from negative to positive and be the solution daily for all the children and for each other as best you can. Have a great Saturday. I'll see you next week.